welcome back to the road to Episode 9, my ongoing series where I chart the road to the release of Star Wars Episode 9 in December 2019, and it is a hot, balmy, sweaty night here at the RazorwireReviews household, but I had to make a video because some news dropped today regarding Star Wars Episode 9. First of all, it starts filming next week on the 1st of August, so it's happening. The actual production of the film is going to be happening in the next week or so, which is pretty exciting, and from there we might start seeing some set pictures, things like that. But of course we're still quite a ways off from the release of the movie. But the one thing that I wasn't expecting was the cast announcement, as far as some of the things they revealed about Star Wars Episode 9 officially. A few things have been confirmed. The 3 L's, I think, is the main thing everyone's talking about, and that is Luke, Lando, and Leia. Mark Hamill, Billy D. Williams, and Carrie Fisher are all confirmed to be returning for Star Wars Episode 9. Now, first of all, Mark Hamill, we'll get to that one right off the bat. I mean, I think a little bit surprised that they announced it, said that Mark Hamill's coming back. I think we all, or most of us, knew that he was definitely going to be in Episode 9, and we were going to see a Force Ghost version of Luke. Even if he hadn't said, "I'll see you around, kid," at the end of The Last Jedi, you just know that is a story element to be mined with Luke in Episode 9. So I fully expected that to happen. Didn't expect them to announce it, but I don't think it really ruins anything. I think that we all knew anyway. But it's kind of quite nice to have that kind of comfort blanket of knowing we're going to see Luke again, 100%. Mark Hamill's back in the film, back in the series. Obviously, how big that role will be is probably going to be on the smaller scale. I'm sure it's probably going to be maybe a scene or two. But who knows, we might see the first really expanded Force Ghost role in a Star Wars movie. Maybe he'll have a handful of scenes and have a real impact on Rey and Ben and other things in the story. Carrie Fisher, let's talk about that. So I got the press release here, Star Wars Episode 9 cast announced. This is on StarWars.com, about as legit as you can get. Returning and new cast members will join together for the final installment in the Skywalker saga. Very interesting choice of words there. Begins filming at Pinewood Studios on August the 1st. J.J. Abrams will return to direct. Abrams co-wrote the screenplay with Chris Terrio. In fact, let's just go through the whole thing. Returning cast members include obviously Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, and then we have some of the more secondary characters, I want to call them, in the sequel trilogy, such as Lupita Nyong'o returning as Maz Kanata. I'm glad Maz will be in the film as well. I quite liked her character in The Force Awakens, and The Last Jedi is kind of a blink and you'll miss it kind of scene, and not really a substantial role to play in the story. Kelly Marie Tran returning as Rose. I'm glad. I really liked Rose. I'd like to see more of her character. Donald Gleason, who I really enjoyed as Hux in the... see, I'm just wiping sweat off my forehead now. It's unbelievable how hot it is, but I had to do this because I really got quite excited by this news. But yeah, Hux, I really enjoyed in The Last Jedi, a lot more than The Force Awakens. I'll be looking forward to seeing him in Episode 9. Juna Suotamo returning as Chewbacca, which is great, obviously. And Billy Lord will be kind of completing her role in the entire trilogy as, I think, Connex was her character in Force Awakens and Last Jedi. Joining the cast of Episode 9 are Naomi Ackie, who I haven't heard of before, and Richard E. Grant, who is a really good actor. I really like Richard E. Grant, and he actually tweeted something about 20 minutes ago saying, "I saw Star Wars in 1976 when I was at drama school. Being cast in the final installment of the Skywalker Trilogy in 2018 feels like an utterly out-of-body experience." That's really cool. I really like him as an actor, and it's cool to see someone kind of expressing their excitement of being in a Star Wars movie and how cool it is for them. And then at the very end of the kind of cast announcement, it says, returning, joined by veteran Star Wars actors Mark Hamill, Anthony Daniels, of course, returning as C-3PO, and Billy D. Williams, who will reprise his role as Lando Calrissian. Now, this was kind of announced or kind of leaked, I don't know, kind of reported, I guess is probably the right word, over the past week or so, that Billy D. Williams was kind of trying to get back into shape, or kind of looking after himself a bit more, and that the rumor was kind of on the street that he was going to come back as Lando. So I almost made a video just discussing that, and I'm going to do that in a separate video talking about Lando, what his role could be in Episode 9 and things like that. But I didn't want to really talk about it until it was really officially confirmed. So now that it is, I'm really excited about it. I love Lando, love Billy D. I'm excited he gets to kind of have his moment as much as Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher had theirs in the sequel trilogy, and I hope it is a substantial role, but obviously given his age, probably not as substantial as maybe, you know, what Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill had in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. But nevertheless, I think they'll be able to work it to a way where it'll be really satisfying for the fans of Lando as a character, and it should be really cool. I'm looking forward to it quite a bit. Leia. The role of Leia Organa will once again be played by Carrie Fisher, using previously unreleased footage shot for Star Wars The Force Awakens. J.J. Abrams says we desperately loved Carrie Fisher. Finding a true, satisfying conclusion to the Skywalker saga without her eluded us. We were never going to recast or use a CG character, so with the support and blessing from her daughter Billy, we have found a way to honor Carrie's legacy and role as Leia in Episode 9 by using unseen footage we shot together in Episode 7. So, how do I feel about that? I'm kind of really happy about it, I have to say. I've been saying since The Last Jedi came out, and having seen what happened with Leia's character, seeing that she survived, I've been saying ever since then that I think that the best thing they could do is to open Episode 9 a few years later and say that she's passed away. She just naturally passed away, no big event or anything like that, she's died. And the idea that she would have been around for a few years to kind of mentor Rey and things like that was a nice thought to me. And that the best way to do it would just be to not try and, again, recreate her using CG or anything like that. Or I definitely think recasting would have been a terrible idea. That's the way I thought they should have gone. I didn't know they had this footage. And it was kind of talked about when she passed away, what they're going to do and things like that. And yeah, I was going to go into a whole other tangent then about that, but we'll leave that for another time, or maybe never mention it again. Just when, as soon as she died, everyone was like, what are they going to do about Episode 9? It was just like, guys, calm it down, there's a bit more important things. But, once the kind of, the months rolled on and people started thinking about, Episode 9, what are they going to do about Leia and Carrie? So I don't know the extent of the footage that they have from Episode 7 that wasn't used. We do know, and we have seen in the first teaser for The Force Awakens, the shot of Maz handing over the Skywalker lightsaber to Leia. So Leia was, I guess, in that sequence at the castle earlier than she was in the final film. So perhaps they have stuff there they can mine, I'm not too sure. I would imagine it's not going to be too substantial, and so she will definitely be on the periphery. It can't be a big role like they obviously were planning on having, with 7 being Han's movie to shine, 8 being Luke's, and then 9 being Leia's kind of showcase. So I think that it's really nice that she's still going to be a part of it. I think she'd want to be a part of it. Obviously they're going to kind of run everything through her daughter Billy, obviously, which is only the right thing to do, and I'm sure that they're going to find a way to do it which will be emotionally satisfying for everyone. So I have high hopes. I don't think they would have gone into this without thinking it over, just like, oh, well, we have a scrap of her kind of turning around and going, hey, let's just throw that in the film, and then she's in the film, we can say that Carrie Fisher's in the film. No, I think that they've looked at it, they've had a long time to think about it, and to come up with the right solution. And obviously they feel like the best way to do it is to keep the character alive, and to kind of use the stuff that Carrie had done before to make that happen. So I'm really intrigued to see how they do it. I do think it'll be kind of minor, but regardless, it's nice to know that she'll be in it. I think that's kind of something that I wasn't even thinking about. I really thought they would just leave it, because they did say, we're not going to recreate it with CGI, we're not going to use any old... They even said that. I think they said officially, we're not using old footage to bring her back in the next one, but obviously they've decided to do that now. So I'm really intrigued to see how it plays out, and I think it's exciting. I think it's going to be nice, I think. Again, I think they only would have done it if they found a way to do it tastefully and a way that works in the film. I hope. It could be awful, and then that would be really terrible, but I really do trust the team making this film. Composer John Williams, who has scored every chapter in the Star Wars saga since 1977's A New Hope, will return to a galaxy far, far away with episode 9. We kind of knew that. He'd said in interviews he wants to finish it through and do episode 9, but now we have official confirmation. John Williams will be returning to score the film. So that's just incredible. Obviously, I think that's one of the real big kind of selling points for me, is having that John Williams score that really just makes these films stand out even more from the standalone movies they've been doing now, which have very good scores, don't get me wrong, but you really can't beat the John Williams classic. And then we just have other members of the crew, obviously produced by Kathleen Kennedy. I'll leave that one in for free. I'm finding it hard to breathe now in this heat as the sweat is pouring off me. Executive produced by some people who I don't even know, so why even bother? The crew includes Dan Mindell, the director of photography, who shot The Force Awakens with J.J. Abrams. Michael Kaplan returning to do the costume design once again. I think he did episode 7 and 8. Neil Scanlon doing the creature and droid effects. He did this kind of creature effects and things like that for episode 7, 8, and I think Rogue One and Solo as well. He's kind of the resident kind of creature guy. Does a fantastic job. And then we just have kind of first AD, visual effects supervisors, editors, things like that. And the release is still scheduled for December 2019. So there we go, that's my thoughts on Luke, Leia and Lando all coming back for the movie. Obviously, again, I think that now that I think about it, I've kind of gone through Luke, Lando and Leia and said I think they'll all have minor roles. I think that obviously the best opportunity they have for one of those three characters to have a real significant role in the film is with Lando, because he's a character who's alive, and an actor who's alive, obviously, because with Leia it's a bit different, with Carrie Fisher it's a bit different. But again, with Billy D. Williams' age, I'm not sure how much he'll be able to do, but we'll see. You know, I'm excited that we're going to have another kind of, I guess they call them legacy characters in episode 9. And again, I knew Luke was going to be in it, but it's kind of fun and exciting to kind of see Mark Hamill comes back. You know, I really like that. So Luke, Leia and Lando back on the big screen again for episode 9 in December 2019. Again, we're about a year and a half out from that now, and it's going to be a long time before we get anything really substantial to kind of talk about. But this, I think, is a really cool, and again, just randomly on a Friday afternoon, they're just like, hey, here's the cast, and a couple of little nuggets there with Luke, Leia and Lando coming back. So, there we go, that's it. Leave me your thoughts down below what you think about the cast announcement, how you think they could integrate Leia into the film. Though I guess you can't really even speculate with that, because we don't know what footage they have, what context that footage they didn't use for episode 7 is. So, you know, we really got no idea how that's going to work, but it's probably a lot easier to speculate about Luke, how Luke is going to be used in the story, and how Lando is going to be used in the story. And I do stand by it. It would be really interesting if we had a lot of, not a lot, but more than we're used to of Force Ghosts in Star Wars series, where Luke could really be an integral part of the conflict between Rey and Kylo, which is going to surely be the central kind of centerpiece of the whole film. It has to be. The movie has to be so much about those two and their final confrontation, and I think Luke is going to play a pretty big part in that. So there we go, that's it. Thanks for watching, leave your thoughts down below, and I'll see you in the next one, where hopefully I'll be sweating a lot less.